Welcome back. Come sit with me for a while. Tonight, I'd like to tell you a story that has been remembered for centuries. It is not a story about war or wealth or kings. It is a story about something far more powerful. Words. Have you ever wondered whether a single sentence could save a life, or could quietly destroy one? Most of us believe that words disappear the moment they are spoken, but sometimes they remain inside a person's heart long after the voice has faded away. Many years ago in the ancient lands of Persia there lived a physician, whose wisdom was admired throughout the world. People traveled for weeks, sometimes months, just to seek his advice. They believed if anyone could recognize an illness, it was him. One quiet afternoon, as he walked through a crowded street, something caught his attention. Not a cry, not a call for help. A young woman. She walked slowly, covering her mouth with a small cloth. Every few steps she leaned forward and spat what appeared to be bright red blood onto the ground. The physician stopped. His face grew serious. He had seen this before, or at least he believed he had. Without saying a word, he quietly followed her from a distance. The young woman never noticed. She simply continued walking through the narrow streets until she reached a modest house, opened the wooden gate and disappeared inside. The physician paused for a moment. Then he gently knocked on the door. An older man opened it. The moment he recognized the famous physician, his eyes widened with surprise. "It is an honor," the man said warmly. "Please come inside." The physician thanked him and stepped into the house. He had no idea that the next few moments would become the greatest regret of his life. The old man welcomed his honored guest, offering him a seat and a warm cup of tea. For a few quiet moments they spoke about ordinary things. The harvest, the weather, the passing of the seasons. Then the physician gently set down his cup. His expression became solemn. "There is something I feel you should know." The father's smile slowly faded. "What is it?" the old man asked. The physician took a slow breath. "As I was walking through the street, I saw a young woman enter this house. She appeared to be coughing up blood again and again." He paused. "I have spent my life studying illness." His voice was calm, certain, almost unquestionable. "And I'm afraid the signs are not good." The room became very still. "I believe your daughter is suffering from a disease from which very few ever recover." Silence. Heavy, painful silence. The father lowered his eyes. His hands began to tremble. Before he could find the right words, something unexpected happened. Behind a thin curtain, someone had been listening. It was the young woman. Every single word had reached her ears. She pressed a hand against her mouth. Her breathing became faster. The color slowly disappeared from her face. Fear settled deep inside her heart. Not because she felt sick, but because she believed there was no hope left. That night she could not sleep. The physician's words echoed through her mind again and again. "No one recovers, no hope too late," and with every passing hour her strength seemed to fade. Sometimes the deepest wounds are not made by disease. Sometimes they are made by certainty, especially when that certainty comes from someone we trust. Morning came, but the young woman did not rise from her bed. Her family tried to comfort her. They spoke gently. They reminded her to eat. They told her that perhaps the physician could still be mistaken. But she no longer believed them. In her heart the verdict had already been given. The world's greatest physician had spoken. Who was she to question his words? As the days passed, her fear grew heavier than any illness. She stopped smiling. She stopped eating. She spoke less and less until silence became her closest companion. Her body grew weaker, not because anyone had proven she was dying, but because she believed she already was. A few days later her life quietly came to an end. The house that had once been filled with laughter fell silent. Her father buried his daughter with a heart that could no longer understand how hope had disappeared so quickly. Time moved on, as it always does. Several days later the physician happened to meet the grieving father once again. The old man greeted him with respect. There was no anger in his voice, only one question that had weighed upon his heart. "My master," he asked quietly, "how did you know that my daughter was beyond saving?" The physician answered without hesitation, "I saw her in the street. She was coughing up blood." The signs were unmistakable. For a long moment the old man simply stared at him. Then his face turned pale. He slowly placed a trembling hand upon his forehead. A deep sigh escaped his lips. "Oh," he whispered. "Oh, no, my daughter." He closed his eyes. She wasn't coughing up blood. That afternoon she had been eating red mulberries. The bright red juice was staining her lips. What you saw wasn't blood at all. The physician stood perfectly still. For the first time in many years he could find no words. His certainty had become his greatest mistake. He had trusted his own judgment before seeking the truth. Slowly he lowered his head, his eyes filled with sorrow. Then before the grieving father the great physician knelt. "I ask for your forgiveness," he said quietly. "My knowledge taught me how to recognize illness, but today you have taught me something far greater." He took a slow breath. "I have learned that a careless word can wound more deeply than any disease, and hope once taken from a human heart is sometimes impossible to restore." The old father closed his eyes. Neither man spoke. There was nothing left to say, only silence and a lesson that would live far beyond them both. Years have passed since that day. Whether this story has reached us exactly as it happened or has grown through generations of retelling, its message remains unchanged. Knowledge is powerful. Experience is valuable. But certainty without compassion can become dangerous. The old storyteller gently closes his book. For a moment he watches the quiet flame of the lantern. Then he looks at you and smiles softly. "My friend," he says, "never forget people may forget our faces. They may forget our names. But they rarely forget the words we speak when their hearts are most fragile." He gently places his hand upon the closed book. "So choose your words with kindness. You may never know which one becomes someone else's hope." He gives a gentle nod. "Until our lantern shines again, take care."